From fantasy flops to modern struggles, these shows missed the mark. Join us as we count down the TV series that tanked with viewers in 2025. Fox Spirit Matchmaker, a franchise that couldn't deliver. Once hailed as a potential fantasy powerhouse, the Fox Spirit Matchmaker live-action trilogy has so far been a major disappointment. With 2 out of 3 parts aired, Red Moon Pact in 2024 and Love in Pavilion in 2025, viewers are now cautiously eyeing the final installment, Sword and Beloved, as the franchise's last shot at redemption. The first drama, Red Moon Pact, never lived up to its hype. It averaged a modest 14.7 million views per episode, underperforming across the board. The second series, Love in Pavilion, fared even worse in viewership, averaging just 10.1 million views per episode. The first 10 episodes had no real substance or plot, one fan noted. I powered through, and things finally got interesting after episode 20. However, the structure left others cold. It felt like a bunch of short, loosely connected love stories with barely any plot to hold them together, another said. Many pointed to the show's game-like editing and structure as a key problem. I don't know if it's the directing or the editing, a viewer mused, but it just feels fake. Every time I try to get into the story, that game-like feeling pulls me out. While the CGI was praised, most agreed it wasn't enough. The male lead and female lead were so bland I couldn't care, a viewer admitted. Perhaps the most common complaint was the ending, which featured major character deaths. Once spoilers got out, people warned others not to bother. I won't touch a drama unless I know it ends happily, a netizen stated. Another added, if I'm pouring 40 hours into something, I expect to be satisfied. Looking ahead, many viewers now pin their hopes on the third and final installment, Fox Spirit Matchmaker, Sword and Beloved, to salvage the brand. Our Generation. Despite sky-high expectations, Our Generation became one of 2025's most talked-about letdowns. Coming off the success of The Princess Royal, which ranked as the 8th most streamed drama in China in 2024 with 1.648 billion effective plays, all eyes were on Zhang Lingyi and Zhao Jinmai's modern collaboration. The buzz was further fueled when Our Generation was nominated for Kuyun Digital Entertainment's 2025 Most Anticipated Drama Award. Even major platforms like Youku were reportedly banking on it to be a hit. But things quickly unraveled. Originally slated for a CCTV broadcast, the drama was quietly dropped by the channel. One viewer noted, I was sad when CCTV pulled out, but now I get it. This didn't fit anything they usually go for. Another added, it's not a youth drama, and it's definitely not a romance. I don't know what this was supposed to be. Described by many as a muddled mix of The First Frost, Hidden Love, and Always Home, but with none of their narrative strengths, Our Generation failed to find its footing. One fan summed it up bluntly, save your time and just watch fan edits. Criticism centered around weak storytelling, poor editing, and a lack of emotional depth. The writing was bad, the editing and pacing were awful, probably the worst parts of the drama, one viewer said. Another noted, they wasted great chemistry. The acting was okay, but it didn't leave a mark. They just did the job. Thematically, the show tackled everything from youth, poverty, separations, and friendship to love and adult life, but few felt the execution lived up to the premise. Barely anything felt real, one review claimed. None of it matched the age or mindset of the characters. It was just disappointing. As the drama progressed, disappointment turned to dismay. It quickly becomes a painfully long mess, a dumpster fire if you will, one user posted. Unlikable characters, no chemistry between the leads, and dialogue that reads like a lovesick teenager's Wattpad draft. Another was even harsher. This is Zhang Lingyi's worst drama to date. I never want to see this pairing again. In the end, the drama left many feeling misled and disappointed. Was it a waste of time? Yes, one viewer admitted. It expected us to fill in the blanks with our imagination instead of actually telling a coherent story. With such a strong lead-in from the Princess Royal, Our Generation had every chance to succeed, but instead it became a case study in how hype alone can't carry a drama. Serendipity. Averaging 9.62 million views per episode during its peak broadcast, Serendipity became one of 2025's biggest underperformers. I went in with low expectations given the plot, but somehow it was even worse than I imagined. At the heart of the backlash was the central relationship, widely regarded as off-putting and unconvincing. I dropped it the moment Ming-Shu started falling for Lu Chang, one comment reads. It just felt weird. No chemistry, all awkward energy. Am I the only one who got sibling vibes instead of a slow burn romance? Others agreed, they had zero chemistry. I much preferred them as siblings. It was uncomfortable to watch. Even viewers intrigued by the premise were let down by the execution. The storyline had potential, one user shared, but the acting was bland and the whole thing felt flat. Everyone looked unprepared for their roles. Another was harsher. This felt like a cast of C or D-list actors. No expression. No depth. They just couldn't act. Some took particular issue with the drama's emotional and moral tone. The brother sometimes came off as borderline pervy, one review pointed out. And the sister, despite losing her memory and believing he was her actual brother, had some unsettling moments too. The ending did little to redeem the drama's reputation. Wasted concept on a story that felt borderline incest, a reviewer stated bluntly, and a lame ending on top of that. One viewer summed it up plainly. This is one of the worst dramas I've watched this year. Be Passionately in Love. Airing during peak season but averaging 8 million views per episode as shown by its barely their 200 million Maoyan effective views, Be Passionately in Love failed to make even the faintest ripple in online conversation. Viewers often noted the near-total lack of buzz. I haven't seen anyone talk about this drama, one user wrote, while another echoed, I couldn't find any discussion on it either. The most consistent feedback? It simply didn't live up to its name. This drama lacked passion the most, one fan commented dryly. The name is literal clickbait, I fear. Another called it criminally boring, adding, Wang Anyu did his best with the role, but the writing was cardboard. A central controversy revolved around female lead Lu Haozuan, rumored to have a no-kissing clause in her contract. Though never officially confirmed, the speculation fueled disappointment. For me, it didn't get better, and after the first non-kiss kiss I dropped it, one viewer said. Another added, if that clause is real, she shouldn't have been cast in a drama literally titled Be Passionately in Love if she can't kiss. While fans agreed passion doesn't always require physical intimacy, many felt the writing offered little else to compensate. This drama was already lacking, one user noted. Cutting those moments just made it worse. The whole thing felt inauthentic. The adaptation was also criticized for straying far from its source material. If I were the author, I'd be devastated, one commenter wrote. This drama started with potential, then plummeted like an apple dropped from the top of a skyscraper. In the end, Be Passionately in Love became a cautionary tale. Popular actors don't always guarantee strong reception. The Princess Gambit. The drama arrived with high expectations, especially with star Meng Ziyu fresh off a strong performance in Blossom, but quickly became one of the year's most disappointing historical dramas. With a Dubon score of just 5.4, many viewers were shocked by how far it fell. I expected the score to be bad, but not this bad, one reviewer admitted. While the visuals received some praise, criticism mostly targeted the writing, editing, and acting. The female lead was great in Blossom, so I assumed I'd get the same or better here, a fan wrote. The drama leaned heavily on tropes like amnesia, revenge, and palace suffering, but viewers found the emotional weight unconvincing. We're told the FL lived in a cold palace and was tortured, but none of that shows in her portrayal, said one viewer. The first wife, a side character, actually conveys more anguish and helplessness. Many pointed to a major performance gap between the leads. I'm struggling because the acting gap between Lu Shui and Meng Zi is huge, one fan explained. Meng Zi isn't terrible, but she's not strong either, and Lu Shui is carrying the whole thing. Another added simply, if it weren't for him, I would have turned this off long ago. Chemistry, or lack thereof, was a repeated complaint. Lu Shui is excellent as always, one viewer said, but the chemistry feels flat. It's like the female lead is more focused on opening her eyes wide to look pretty than actually acting. The focus is entirely on her eyes and long neck. Another added, same for the ML, he fights off 1,000 goons without breaking a sweat. Just lots of close-ups of his perfect nose. Can't believe I sacrificed sleep just to see their beauty in 1,000 different ways. In the end, the drama simply fell off. Eat, Run, Love. Eat, Run, Love never broke into the top 10 on major tracking platforms like Yunha or Qiyun, and with an average of just 2.74 million views per episode, it failed to generate buzz or maintain audience interest across its lengthy run. At the center of the criticism were leads Chen Feiyu and Sabrina Zhuang, whose lack of chemistry became a common complaint. They couldn't muster any spark, one viewer wrote. The relationship felt more like fleeting infatuation than genuine love. Another added, I was honestly rooting for Gan Yang to move on and find someone better. The story, focused on a slow-burning romance and a failing shoe business, was dragged out to the point of exhaustion. Many admitted they couldn't make it to the end. I skipped through so many episodes and finally gave up at episode 22. I just didn't care anymore. The start was bad and the ending was just as forgettable, a reviewer said. I forgot to tune in multiple times. In the end, Eat, Run, Love didn't just underperform, it disappeared without a trace. A drama many dropped and most forgot. Love Never Fails. With a quiet release and minimal marketing, Love Never Fails seemed destined to fly under the radar, and it did. The drama barely registered with general audiences. One viewer noted, "Hardly anyone watched this. It feels like only Yuan Bingyan fans, already itching to downvote because of the face swap, and Lu Shui fans were aware of it." The troubled production history didn't help. Filmed in 2021 and shelved after Yuan Bingyan's tax scandal, the series finally resurfaced in 2025 after partial reshoots. The result? A disjointed mess. "You can tell from the outdated outfits and awkward transitions," one viewer said. "It screams patchwork." Despite the controversy, some viewers gave it a chance, but many were quickly turned off by the infighting. "I ignored the ratings drama," one person shared, "but seeing endless posts bashing Hu Xinyan killed my mood." Unfortunately, the show couldn't stand on its own. "Huge chunks of episodes were unnecessary," one review read. "The endless music montages were exhausting." The central romance, meant to carry the emotional weight, fell completely flat. "No chemistry. They felt more like siblings than lovers," one viewer wrote. Another added, "By the end I stopped caring. No development. No range. Just nothing." Even the finale didn't land. "It felt slapped together. Like they were just trying to wrap it up," one fan said. There was no reward for sitting through it. With poor word of mouth and almost no visibility, Love Never Fails quietly disappeared, barely remembered even by drama fans. Hopefully, some of these casts or writers will bounce back, but for now, these titles stand as 2025's biggest misfires. Which of these dramas disappointed you the most, or did we miss one that deserves a spot? Let me know in the comments.